Hello, I'm Denise Lithgow in my garden at La Fabrique, and I'm going to take you inside and show you my exhibition that is on in our art space. So follow me this way. Thank you. So welcome, this is our new art space, and I have an exhibition of my two-dimensional works and my felting works that are on show at the minute. So these are my two-dimensional works. This one I've called Mud Map, and what it's about is the landscape. It's about a collection of places that I've been to and visited when we've been travelling, doing workshops and teaching. And I like to put it together as a collection. So to me, it's like following the River Murray, because we go down to South Australia quite a lot. It's got wheat fields and dams and orchards and a bit of the Simpson Desert where we go. So it's a collection of different landscapes that I put together, and I just work it as I go. So using free machine embroidery and stitch, and using different fabrics as my colour pattern. I lay them down and work in that sort of way. This one is called Tree Line, and it's more of an abstract version, but to me it's like the side of a hill with the trees and using different colours again. Then what I can do is I can take certain sections of this work and do smaller works. So the one next to it is called Alpine, and that's based on a forest or on trees, and I've abstracted the trees, but it gives a hint of the landscape. The next one is based on my mud map, and it's mainly hand stitching, a lot of hand stitching in that, but it's also the orchard, which I've included in the mud map, and this one I call Rolling Hills. So it's a nice work using felt and dyed fabric and stitching. Banksia is based on the coastal Banksia in Australia, which is in New South Wales, and it's in its normal habitat. And I've abstracted it, used different imagery to create that. The other things I have are my felt vessels. So this one is called Ripples, and it's based on the ripples of the water, of the white that you get coming off the waves. So and then this one is Pebbles. So it's like the pebbles in the landscape, just seeing out there on the hillside, spikes and nodes, so different ones. These little ones are called poppies. They're my poppies, and that was in the Wangaratta Petty Miniature Art Prize. And it's done with the merino wool and silk that I use as well. So over here I have some works, two-dimensional works that I use that are done with the felt, and then so I make the base of the felt. Quite often I do that out in the landscape itself, so I'll work with the wool, laying down the different colours and felting it out in the landscape. This one is done from Acarula, so it gives a sense of it. This one's done in Portugal. So both of those I did in the landscape, and then I'll take them back and machine stitch or hand stitch into them. And this one I did, all these were done in the landscape itself. This is based on the Kimberley in Western Australia, and it's the black top, which is the bitumen road, with the boab trees there. And then underneath this are my vessels, and this is called Earth, Wind and Fire. So the same shape, working with the same template, but just using the different colours and creating an atmosphere using those vessels. And then I have some bird pictures, which are all done with just free machine stitching. So it's just stitching, crossing the stitches over so that they link together to form the bird. So the top one is the magpie, and I call it a magpie in its habitat, so it's out in its bush. The seagull, sort of perched on the edge of a rock. So these are all done using thread and the machine stitching, and the rainbow lorikeet. And that one is based on the inner west of the Cooks River. So it's the flight of the rainbow lorikeet there. And then some of Peter's sculptures are there as well. This one is Kernalulu. So it's an abstract version, an aerial version looking down onto the Bungle Bungles up in the Kimberley. And using felt and using three-dimensional, you've got a three-dimensional looking down, and I've dyed the fabric underneath as well. So it creates a nice sort of design working with that concept as well. And this one is more about the beach, about the rocks and the landscape that come in to the beach. So I'm using silk, dyed silk, wool, so I felted underneath, and then machine embroidery on top. And that's a process I love, combining the wool, the felting and the machine stitching together. Here I've done it on my vessel called Feathers, and it's felted, but then I've machine stitched onto the piece as well. And on the inside, the actual stitching is a darker colour so that it's more prominent, and on the outside, you can get a detail of that, the stitching is lighter. And a few more, just hillside here. This is a felted piece, Cocoon. So it's a series I'm working on at the minute, the Cocoon series, and with the ridges on it. And that's all done with felt and some hand stitching on it. And my waterfall here is, it's a mid-morning series. So I did a series of waterfalls where it was mid-morning, mid-afternoon and sunset. So this is the mid-morning one. I just like the different soft hills in the background as well. And then one of Peter's blue crayfish there as well. And behind on the door there is, this is based on Birdsville, on the Diamantina River. So it's based on the river and the desert. So it's dry, with a touch of the sky just to show the landscape out there. And it's all machine stitched, that one. Behind the door I've got a Kimberley one as well. And a winter scene, so again with just the machine stitching. So it's great to have you in my studio, in the gallery space, and it's open at any time, so come and visit. Thank you.